The wonderful Vera-Ellen had a lot of boyfriends, or so it seemed. But how many were for publicity purposes, and how many were real? In this episode, I'm going to share some stories about the many men with whom she was photographed. From the time Vera-Ellen divorced her first husband, Robert Hightower, in 1948, until the time she married her second husband, Victor Rothschild, in 1954, she was photographed with a lot of different men. Some of these men were real boyfriends, and some were arranged by her agent, Henry Wilson, seen here. Most of those arranged by Henry Wilson just happened to be his clients. One of those clients was Rory Calhoun, who actually had a minor criminal background. And it looks like he's showing off his toughness to Vera-Ellen in this photo. Rory Calhoun's real name was Francis McGowan, and he was named Rory by Henry Wilson, who also famously named some of his other clients, such as Tab Hunter, Rock Hudson, Guy Madison, and the worst one of all, Dak Rambo. Although Vera-Ellen liked Rory Calhoun, their dates were strictly for publicity. The same can be said for Guy Madison in this picture on an arranged date with Vera-Ellen, but they make such a cute couple. Of course, we all know now that Rock Hudson was gay, but at the time, when he was up and coming in his career, people did not know he was gay, and it would have ruined his career if it would have been revealed. So he was also a client of Henry Wilson, and he was set up with Vera-Ellen to go on many publicity dates. They actually really liked each other and were good friends, but as Vera-Ellen's cousins told me one time, they asked her about him, and she kind of mouthed to them, he's queer. So she knew very well what was going on, even if some others in Hollywood didn't. It's actually a neat story that Vera-Ellen and Rock Hudson took Vera-Ellen's cousins, her male cousin, Fred, and his new wife, Toddy, on their honeymoon. She invited them to Hollywood and took them out on the town and gave them breakfast in bed in the morning. She was just a very wonderful person. You can imagine Henry Wilson's glee at the publicity that Rock Hudson and Vera-Ellen got when they came to the Hollywood Photographers Ball in 1949 as Mr. and Mrs. Oscar. I can't imagine trying to get that paint off. Many of you will remember this handsome fellow as Oscar Goldman in the $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman series, if you're in my age range. Richard Anderson was an actor, an up-and-coming actor when he was dating Vera-Ellen, but again, these were publicity dates, but they really liked each other. A friend of mine met him at one of his signings in the last few years, and he asked him about Vera-Ellen, and, Richard Anderson was busy signing things, but he said, "Oh, lovely, lovely woman." So I thought that was very sweet. They did a series of photographs here at the Palm Springs Racquet Club, which are really fun, so I'm going to share those with you. Here they are with Dinah Shore, who was an excellent tennis player, and as you can see, she signed this for me many years later. And here they are with Charlie Farrell, who was a co-owner of the Racquet Club, but you may remember him also as a very handsome silent film star, and he was in My Little Margie, the TV series. Here are a few rogue dates that were strictly for publicity. Here's Peter Lawford, looking quite handsome. Actor Michael North, and a businessman named Ernie Byfield, but this does not look like a good date. One of Vera-Ellen's closest friends, whom she did date off and on over the years, was Paramount producer A.C. Lyles. They went on many, many dates together, partly because they were friends and partly for publicity. I had the pleasure of meeting A.C. Lyles back in the 1980s, and he took me out for dinner and told me some great stories about Vera-Ellen, some interesting stories. One of them was that he went with her to a dinner party. I can't remember if it was at Frank Sinatra's house or Gene Kelly's house, at someone's house during the making of On the Town, and all of the cast members were there. So that's Jules Munchin, Betty Garrett, Frank Sinatra, Ann Miller, Vera-Ellen, and Gene Kelly. So the 6 cast members had been rehearsing the On the Town number that day at MGM, and so they went out on the lawn and did the number for their dinner guests. And A.C. Lyles said it was absolutely amazing, just this spontaneous, incredible dance number that was done just for him and the other guests. Can you imagine? A.C. Lyles was a good friend of Ronald Reagan, and I've always loved this picture of Vera-Ellen because she's laughing harder than I've ever seen her laugh in any photo. Interestingly, A.C. also told me a story about what kind of broke him up with Vera-Ellen. He said he saw, and I don't know how, a note that she had written to herself, which detailed the pros and cons of dating A.C. Lyles. And although there were many pros, one of the cons was that she was wondering whether he was just dating her because she was a celebrity. And this really bothered him. And although he always loved her, he just never felt quite the same after that. And sort of related to that is her romance, a real romance, and probably the most serious one she ever had before she married Rothschild, was with this fellow actor Dean Miller. And one of the reasons you didn't see a lot of publicity about them was because he said he didn't want it to look like he was cashing in on her celebrity. So it seemed like that kind of thing was a bit of a sensitive spot for her. Unfortunately, these two broke up because of religious differences. Here he is visiting the set of Call Me Madam with Ethel Merman. Vera-Ellen's last beau was a raconteur, Richard Gully, who was quite a man about town. There's a great article about him in Vanity Fair that you can still find online. She was a little bit serious with him, but then Victor Rothschild came along, and that was the end of Richard Gully. But they were so close, time-wise, that Vera-Ellen actually wore this white dress to her engagement party to Victor Rothschild. Vera-Ellen married Victor Rothschild in 1954 and did share many happy years with him before they divorced. And that is Vera-Ellen's love life in a nutshell. Thanks for watching.